In this video, we're going to talk about rubrics, an important tool for ensuring transparency in your evaluation of student work and in conveying your expectations to your students. We'll start with an overview. A rubric is an evaluation tool or a set of guidelines that is used to evaluate student performance on a given activity. Rubrics typically involve evaluative criteria, quality definitions, and some sort of scoring strategy, so some way that you're assigning points to student work. What's really important about rubrics is that they create a consistent set of criteria that you can use to evaluate student work, give students feedback, and communicate clear expectations. The term rubric is a pretty broad one, and rubrics themselves can look quite different. This is something that you're probably familiar seeing, a grid that has criteria and points assigned to that criteria, along with descriptions in the cells. Here's something that's a little more simple, but it might allow for more flexibility and feedback to come directly from the instructor. And even this is a way of looking at a rubric. What's really important here is that the instructor is saying, here's the criteria against which I'm going to evaluate your performance and give you feedback, and conveying that clearly to students. These are the traditional elements of a rubric, which include descriptions of the quality of performance that the instructor is looking for, what those performance attributes are, so what sort of knowledge or skills are being evaluated, and then also what scale is being used. And sometimes that's used with numbers, and sometimes that is a more qualitative scale. So it could use advanced, intermediate, etc. And we'll provide more examples and resources in the workshop itself. So why use a rubric? Rubrics, as we've said, can really communicate expectations clearly to students. They also allow you to demonstrate that you have objective criteria for the evaluation of student work. And this means that you will have more consistency in your evaluation. Another important function of rubrics is they allow you to provide quick feedback to students. I'm going to demo a rubric in Moodle for you in just a moment, and you'll see that it's a quick and easy way to provide some basic feedback to students on their assignment. And of course, a rubric will let you clearly show students how you arrived at their final grade. And that's probably a question that you've had in the past. So being able to show a student exactly where and how you calculated their grade is another important function of rubrics. Let's take a quick look at what a rubric looks like in Moodle. Here I'm looking at my sample Moodle course, and I'm going to click on the assignment. So I'm looking at this as an instructor right now. I'm going to go to grade this assignment, which has submissions. We'll pretend it's something like a short paper that a student has submitted. I can toggle through my students, so I'm going to toggle to my demo student submission. And you'll see here that I can see the student submission. I can also comment on it, and we have resources that show you how to use this interface. But I want to point out to you that over here I have my rubric. And so I've pre-built this rubric. I've assigned it to this assignment activity. And then I can evaluate the student's work simply by clicking in these boxes, which provides the points that the student will receive. And then over here, I can also add comments related to the different criteria that I'm responding to. And very important, I can provide overall feedback comments down here, so to make a more substantial feedback comment. So that's just a quick way to show you how a rubric will work in Moodle. Another quick note, you can use rubrics in Turnitin assignments in Moodle as well. This is a screenshot of what that would look like. And you can also grade discussion forums with rubrics. So we can help you navigate through any of that in terms of the Moodle setup, but know that for the important assessment activities available to you in Moodle, you can have rubrics attached to those right in the system. So very quickly, some best practices with rubrics. I'll start with a really obvious one, but it's really fundamental. It's important that you know exactly what skills and knowledge students are demonstrating through that assignment. So really thinking through and considering the purpose, the tasks, and then this is the criteria for that assignment. So what is it that you're asking students to do and why? It's important to be really clear about that and to be able to say that back to students in writing as part of your rubric. You'll want to determine the performance levels, the criteria, and then also describe those performance levels. It's important to be succinct but thorough in your description of those levels, and then to use objective and measurable language as much as possible. So thinking back to our work on student learning outcomes, we always want to be clear and measurable, and we want to apply that same language to our rubrics as well. And then finally, make sure you share the rubric with students ahead of time. So best practices here are to attach your rubric to the assignment sheet so that right from the beginning, when students read the instructions for the assignment, they're also seeing how they're going to be evaluated on that assignment. And very quickly, some pro tips if you really want to try and really want to get into rubrics. Think about sharing your rubric with students and then asking students to apply that rubric, whether that's through peer review, and the students could use that to do some formative assessment for each other, or just ask students to evaluate their own work before they turn it into you. They could even turn it into you with their rubric evaluation attached. And that can be a great tool for formative assessment to ask students to make sure that they're utilizing these materials that you're creating for them. And you could even think about involving students in the rubric creation process. So having a conversation with students in a discussion forum or on a synchronous Zoom meeting or through a poll, and asking students what they think is really important to the assignment, and as much as you can, taking their input into account when you create the rubric. Because usually students are going to feel more invested in a tool that they help to build. Any questions about this topic or anything else, please send us an email at moodlehelp@berkshirecc.edu. Thanks for watching.